So I think I hope everybody can hear me first of all. Lines of communication should be clear. So I'm really glad to have you all here at all the odd hours. So I'm mastering child neurology this year, and I did my MBBS from India, from Lady Harding Medical College. And so I'm here to share my journey. And Resiyay has been an amazing platform. It was the platform that kind of guided me during my journey when, a lot of things were unknown. And a branch like child neurology was something that was very, it wasn't the one that everybody picks up. So definitely it was the road not taken. But Resiyay was a platform that helped me guide through the interview questions and, just providing a community to go through together with this arduous, challenging phase of life. So I'll just share my screen. There's something that I prepared for you guys. I swear it's going to be a very short one, and then we can have all the Q&A session. So I guess I can share my screen, right? Okay. So I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
So, okay. So I chose to keep this platform for my presentation because I wanted to show a little bit of, just a little bit confidence of what I went through and how I prepared myself through the interview. So I just use Notion. I use Notion for most of my step prep, keeping my notes together, and basically everything online. So when I switched from the offline phase to an online phase, because it was very difficult. It was getting very difficult to carry all my notes, which were like 3-4 kgs, and carrying them across the borders was definitely not a solution. So this was a platform that really helped me get everything together, all my notes together, and definitely, it was way more easier for the memory retention part as well. So that aside, I'll come to that later. So this is my journey to US residency, the Peds Neurology edition. So I call it the Baby Brain Odyssey. So I really like to start with just giving you a picture as to why I picked up this branch and what went behind making this decision. So giving the big picture, as you can see, the stats help us to navigate what actually is there. So we're entering the market, we're becoming doctors, and we need to really know what we're going to practice for the next 40, 50 years when things are going to change. It's a very fast-paced healthcare industry has become very fast-paced. Things are happening as we speak. AI is being incorporated into healthcare. So as you can see in India, we just have one pediatric neurologist per 1 million children. That is like a huge gap in terms of the number of physicians per the patient ratio. In Delhi, which is the national capital of India, the ratio goes up a little bit better. And you might be thinking that's just with a LMIC country, and that might be the reason why we have such less number of pediatric neurologists. But wait until you get to the US data as well. The average wait time for patients to see a neurologist, and especially a kids neurologist, is actually approximately 35 days compared to all the other specialties, and which is way higher than all the other specialties, as you can see on the screen. And I'll share the references to this study. It's actually a study which has been published on PubMed. So as you can see, this was one of the biggest reasons as to why I chose this field. This is a field where we need physicians, we need people to help cater the gap that is there. And there's a system-wide shortage in terms of child neurologists in both the states and almost everywhere around the world. If that's the condition in US, you can imagine what happens in all the developing countries around the world. I guess that was my biggest motivation to join this field because pediatrics was always my first choice. I liked working with kids, not just because it's fun to work with them, but also because you're making a change at such a crucial period of the time that it really kind of makes a difference to the 70 years that are going to be ahead of them, rather than changing the 10 or 15 years that we get to change in a fully grown adult life. So that aside, that was my reason. Apart from that, what I loved about this branch was I've given you the reason one, and definitely the continuity of care. As I've been approached with this question as to why and how you made a choice of this branch so early in your career, and I'm going to dedicate another next 5 years into going into a super specialty. So how did you make that choice? So I started with answering the basic questions as to what I really liked and looked forward to every time I woke up. It's rather following up a patient right from I see them for the first time till the time I see their recovery, and not just after recovery, but following up with them, being a mentor in their care. And that is what I really enjoyed working through my years in internship and then in working as a physician after my graduation in India. That really helped me determine, because neurology as a branch is something that doesn't end at the diagnosis. You are not able to come up to a diagnosis for years and years altogether. And for all those years that you spend with the patient, you grow with the patient yourself. I've learned so many incredible things. I've learned so many aspects about living my life from the kids who've been suffering from neurological diseases. And it's truly being an eye opener for me. And I love that thing about this branch, that I'm not there for my patients. Patients are there for me as well. And I'm growing with them at every step. And definitely the complex decision making. Neurology is fun, pediatrics is fun because there are no obvious clues out there. Nobody's communicating with you. You got to find the needle in the haystack yourself, take out those pieces of the puzzle, and take out those jigsaw puzzle and make the entire picture. So all the diagnostic dilemmas, the difficult patient interactions, trying to figure out from the most frustrating of communication and the most frustrating of patient interactions, and trying to make up what the diagnosis could be and how to help the patient from a case-to-case basis is definitely, I would say, the most fun part about it. And yes, advocacy, and most importantly, research opportunities. This is a field that is growing at a rapid pace. In another 5 years, we'll have interventions and we'll have solutions to a lot of pathologies that we were just studying about and we were researching today. So I would say the glass ceiling has not been reached yet. And that was why I personally left this branch and why I chose to become a peds neurologist. So that's just a picture showing the variety of diseases and the variety of pathologies that I wasn't aware of as to what a peds neurologist caters to and deals with. So this coming on to my timeline, this was a little bit of my timeline, how I started. I started way back in 2016. That's 1 year after I joined my med school. And that is when I started to prepare about STEP casually. That's entirely based on my parents' decision to pursue a residency and to go out of my comfort zone and to explore a little more outside of my home country residency. And the biggest reason for me was to be able to open my eyes, to be able to cater to a wider range of patient population, to understand the intricacies of dealing with a multiracial and a very complex patient structure, which is definitely not here, which you don't get when you're in your home residency. You're very comfortable, you're in your own zone, and it's definitely, I would say, way more easier in some sense to do your home residency. And after I finished my step 1 in 2019, I did post internship work experience. I wanted to see where I fit in, whether I wanted to be prefer one branch over the other. And that is when I did most of my quality improvement work, most of my work experience. I did a lot of volunteering experience. And that was the time when COVID had hit. So I did not want to leave amidst that pandemic. Not that I had choice, honestly. But yes, I served as a duty officer in the COVID wards for almost 6 to 8 months. After that, I applied for my step 2 in 2022. And that's when I went to US, did my USCE, did a remote research opportunity, gave my step 3, gave my interviews, and then, yes, I matched. And still, I continued to work. When I came back to India, I joined as a junior resident, which is a post of a physician in the Tertiary Neurology Center here in India, which is known as the Institute of Human Behavioral and Allied Sciences. And I also became a quality improvement mentor at Nationwide Quality of Control Network. So this was my timeline overall, and I'm open to questions in the later period of the presentation if you guys have any. So coming on to what are the essentials. So I won't reveal the next part of the slide. The essentials are the usual. You get your scores, try to get your scores in the above average percentile, because everybody's scoring way more than what people used to score like 2 years ago. So I would say 240s to 250s is a good score for child neurology if you're focusing on that and neurology per se. Obviously, the better the score, the better are your chances to get through the filtering system of the application, the better are your chances to land into stronger interviews in the sense university-based positions, the better your scores are. I did US clinical experience. My US clinical experience was centered around peds and neurology and child neurology. My research was, I did one research in neurology and the rest was in peds, but I did a variety of QI projects. So I'll come to that point again as to how to cover up the crevices in your application and how to work through them. And volunteer experience was something that I really liked. And it wasn't because of the application, it was something that I've been doing since my med school. And I really enjoyed doing it. So I felt like that was one of the highlights of my application for as a child neurology applicant. So coming on to the essentials, that's it. Those are the essentials that we all know about. That's usual to every branch and every medicine branch you get. But what is the most crucial ingredient to making it all work? And that doesn't depend on the branch that you're following. So I'm an anime fan, as you can see. And even Naruto believes that it is your own belief and dedication that makes it work. At the end of the day, you got to believe in your own application. You got to believe in your own self and the fact that you are worth it. And this residency is worth having you as one of the applicants and candidates. So I would say that was the most important aspect that got me through the entire challenges. It wasn't about securing good scores. It wasn't about securing good research positions. It was about maneuvering through those challenges, through those really, when things don't work out. There were, this is what you were saying on the picture. This is the better picture, but what went throughout and what went into the background, that requires a lot of motivation from your side. And that is something that you need to work upon, and you need to believe in yourself to be able to go through this entire journey, which definitely is going to be very, very long. So the most important aspect was building my own brand. As much as it is about your academic qualifications, as much as it is about what you have done in your past and how you've come through this entire journey, it is about knowing what are your strengths and what are your challenges. Because the more you know about them, the more you'll be able to sell them and build your own brand. And you have to find out what are the lacunae in your application as per the standard protocol, and what are the strengths that you can build your application around, and you can actually make the program director believe in you when you are presenting your application forth. So what was my game plan? I would say, I would be really honest to say that there have been applicants who've been stronger than me, and there will always be applicants who are stronger than you. But what you can focus upon is building your own game plan. For me, it was the ERAS application. I had a dilemma whether I should apply with limited amount of research work, limited amount of US clinical experience, or whether I should delay it by 1 year, get a research position. And these are the dilemmas and these are the questions that everybody faces. But my entire plan was whatever I have at hand, I wanted to give it a shot, build an application that was a bang on, that was something that would stand out. And I would say that is the most important aspect and the first biggest step into stepping into the matching cycle. You have to be very specific when you're making an ERAS application. And when you start with that application, try to keep these really big important points in mind. The fact that you have to keep it very succinct. Don't go on to explaining each and every detail about what you did during your work experience. I would say leave some room for questions from the program director's side and from the administration side, because you need to keep it succinct so that it delivers the message. Use the right action verbs so that you communicate what you did rather than being just a part of the picture of the entire ERAS application. And at the end of the day, realize that you are selling a brand of yourself, which is kind of guided by which specialty you want to be in. For me, it was neurology. And for me, the most important aspect about my ERAS application was I loved having volunteer experiences, and I had a couple of them. The strongest point about my application, which I think would be, I haven't talked to my program director yet, so which was basically the fact that I had tons of advocacy projects that I had done, and as well as QI projects. So that was the thing that I highlighted on, and that's something that I really could speak about for hours and hours altogether if somebody asked me about it. So do understand that it is all about knowing your strength, and you have to portray your strengths there so that when you talk about it, they know exactly what you've done in that thing, and it should stand out. And obviously, everybody has those crevices in their application. Nobody thinks their application is perfect until the day they have matched. So until today, I don't think my application was the most perfect one. But what I did was to cover up the crevices that I found with the ones that I was proud about, and not just proud about, but something that I grew up with, the experiences that I learned a lot with. So I would say those are the biggest green flags of yours. Secondly, and the most important aspect, once your application has gone through the filters, you should know that nothing else matters. When you've been selected for an interview, that is your own space, that is your code. Now the match is all set. You are the preferred applicant, and they just want to know about you. So in an interview, more than anything else, it's just about knowing you as a person. Once you've cleared that filter, once you've you're the chosen one, you have to own the space of an interview. For example, this is a table that I came across. I just made this table to make you guys understand how I proceeded with covering up my loopholes with the green flags and kind of proceeded with the way ahead. Because this journey is all about finding that way ahead. You cannot, this is going to be long enough. There are going to be challenges, anticipated, unanticipated, and you will have to fight through them. And the biggest and the best part about this journey is that it doesn't stop at one thing. So my hurdle number one was a low step score. I had a low step score of a 220, which I wasn't very proud about. I think that was one of the moments of my life where the lowest moments of my life that I thought I should just quit this journey and I'm not worth it. I'm not worth even going forth with my matching process or the entire thing at all. But I just realized coming through that, I have to move on. During my interview, I was definitely asked about my step score. And I just gave them the rational explanation that at the time why my score was low, it was actually because of the fact that I was multitasking with a lot of things. I had a couple of projects in my med school that I was taking care of. My med school final exams were on board. And obviously, I was also a class rep, taking care of the entire class and scheduling the classes, scheduling lectures and all. And that kind of just came in between the focus prep that I should have done for my step score. And that was one of my ways ahead to kind of really understand, be honest with myself, knowing what went wrong, and giving myself some dedicated time off to prep for my step to CK and rebound with the score that I had in step to CK. I only had observerships. My US clinical experience was limited to observerships. And you might have heard that there are a lot of, obviously, clerkships and hands-on clinical experience is definitely way more appreciated than observerships because you're just an observer. But you do understand that during the COVID-19 pandemic, we had our own limitations. I did tele-rotations to begin with. And to this date, I can say that as an IMG who's joining a new workforce, I just did not have a US clinical experience, but I also had a tele-rotation experience, and I'll be more prepared to answer teleconsultations whenever I join a facility compared to somebody who actually did not do a tele-rotation. Because working with a patient through a Zoom call where you have the screen in front of you is definitely an altogether a different terrain when you're actually in a room with a patient. So again, coming out to the points, make your loopholes your green flags. Find your own strengths in the things that you pursue, because there's a reason you did that. You have to believe in what you pursued and then sell that to the program, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to do that for you. I had a delayed ECFMG certification. I got multiple interview rejections because ECFMG certification is one of the filters that they use to filter out application. And my certification came 2 weeks late, 2 weeks after I submitted my application. And that was just because of a technical glitch that happened between my university and ECFMG. And that was, I guess, my first chance at knowing how to deal with rejections. I had 10 interview rejections in one day within just 4 hours, and that was very challenging. But again, I would say, don't stop. Don't stop when you submit your application. That journey doesn't stop there. I kept on pursuing clinical experiences. I started preparing for my step 3. I even pursued a research opportunity, and I was also preparing for the interview simultaneously. So all these updates are going to add to your application. You can send out emails. You can use these emails as excuses to reach out to your program, even the programs that you apply to and you haven't heard back from them. You can use these things to kind of supplement that email and talk to the program director. And this is just a hint that it doesn't matter whether you're a part of this matching cycle or not. This is your entire life journey, and you are growing with it. And the most important aspect about that is that you're going to move forward and forward. And I would say this is something that strikes out and that gets your head in the game. And This also, you can use your opportunities and your challenges as a way to move forward. I had limited research work, which I was really concerned with up to the submission of my application. So I realized that I had a lot of QI work, a lot of projects that I had done. Many of them were documented. A lot of them were not even documented. One of their projects was even documented and featured in BMJ. So I made that as one of my biggest highlight of my application. And I believe that that is something that really stood out, not just in making my application unique, but also in the terms in how I approached the interview questions. There were many questions that were thrown at me, which I wasn't prepared for, but keeping the point of care quality improvement methodology in my mind and going through with that step-by-step process and answering those questions, I feel like that also made a difference in how I went through with the interview. So this was just a little bit of a brief, kind of a just a deep dive into how you can use your own hurdles, create an explanation that kind of fits it, and then find your way ahead. So that was a very quick and short presentation. And at the end, I would just like to show you this one picture. So this is a katana maker. This is a very famous traditional Japanese sword known as a katana. And every katana, there's only one katana that is made in every year. And this guy has been making this for last 80 years now. So you are your own katana, you make your own journey. There are many advisors, there are many guides, and there are many mentors that will be there to help you out. But your journey is unique to you, your story is unique to you. Know your story well in and out. Try to seek advice as much as possible, but you are your own self, and that is the best part. And that is the best part that you can sell about yourself. So thank you guys. And before I just end, for my interviews, there was a very useful thing that I believed that I did for my interviews was making a interview chart, making a lot of my interview notes on Notion. This kind of helped me to put the location, the date, the website, and I'll just go through with one of the interview pages. So this is something that how I went about with my notes. I pardon you for, so this is just, so I can't share the confidential information, but this is something that I use to kind of take down notes, make it a bit more succinct, because you're definitely going to forget a lot of your information. So that was one of the takeaway points as well. So thank you guys, and open to questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saha, for making this so to the point, concise, and all the wonderful tips that you mentioned. So what I will do now, guys, is we'll go ahead and stop the recording here. That way we'll open the floor to you guys and you can get comfortable with your questions.